I'm Rachel Moore. I'm 31. And last month, I bought my first apartment. It's nothing fancy. Just a quiet one-bedroom condo on the west side of Philly. But to me, it's everything. 10 years of skipped vacations, cold dinners, and second-hand clothes led to this. I didn't win the lottery. I didn't marry rich. I worked. I saved. And I made it happen. The first night I slept there, the walls were still bare. No furniture. Just a camping mattress, a desk lamp, and a cup of instant ramen. I remember standing by the window, watching the city lights flicker through the fogged glass. I had never felt so exhausted, or so proud. I didn't tell anyone in my family right away. Not because I was hiding. But because I knew, deep down, this wasn't something they'd celebrate. Not when they already had other plans for what was mine. They never said it out loud, but I always knew I was the difficult one in the family. The one who never asked for much, but somehow gave the most. I was 16 when I got my first part-time job. Not because I wanted extra cash, but because I needed textbooks. My parents said they'd forgotten to set money aside that year. Jenna, my younger sister, got a new iPhone that same week. That's how it always was. Jenna cried, she got what she wanted. I stayed quiet, and they forgot I was even there. When I graduated college, there was no celebration. No dinner. No, we're proud of you. Just a short text from Mom, congrats. Let us know if you need anything. I never replied. While Jenna bounced between travel blogs and finding herself, I worked 60-hour weeks at a small accounting firm on the east side. Gray cubicles. Cold coffee. I strained so bad it made me dizzy. But I kept going. My friends posted pictures from Bali and Barcelona. I posted spreadsheets. Live a little, Chloe would say. My best friend since college. She meant well. But she didn't understand. When you grow up in a house where love feels conditional, you stop needing applause. You start chasing safety. That's what the apartment was for me. Not a luxury. A shelter. I saved like a maniac. Cut my own hair. Took night classes for certifications while still working full-time. I didn't go out. I didn't date. There were nights I fell asleep in my clothes, half sitting at my desk, laptop still open to tax documents. But it paid off. Slowly. Quietly. Even when Grandma passed, and her will named me as a partial heir to the family house, I didn't ask questions. I just said thank you. She was the only one who ever told me she was proud. My parents barely mentioned it. Jenna didn't call. But a month later, Mom texted to ask if I could help Jenna with rent. Again. I ignored it. I thought maybe, if I kept my head down, if I kept doing the right things, they'd finally see me. They didn't. Because in my family, being responsible was never enough. Not when you weren't the favorite. Not when you weren't Jenna. So when I finally bought that condo, with my own money, no help from anyone, I didn't shout it from the rooftops. I just sat in the silence, and waited. Because deep down, I knew something was coming. The invitation came on a Wednesday. Come home this Saturday. Family dinner, Mom's text read. No emojis. No details. I hadn't been home in months. Not since I signed the mortgage papers. Still, something told me this wasn't just dinner. I replied with a simple, sure. Saturday came with gray skies and damp sidewalks. I picked up a chocolate cake on the way, the one from Mom's favorite bakery. Thought maybe it'd help. When I pulled into the driveway, I sat there for a moment. The house looked smaller than I remembered. The white paint chipped. The porch light flickered. But the heaviness? Still there. Jenna opened the door before I could knock. Hair curled, perfume strong, smile a little too wide. Is that from Carver's? Oh my God, Mom's gonna freak. She took the cake box from my hands like she'd just won something. Inside, the house buzzed with relatives. Laughter, glass clinks, the clatter of cutlery. But when Mom saw me, she smiled like I was an afterthought. Put the cake in the kitchen. Jenna, help her. No hug. No, we missed you. I walked in, nodded to Dad. He barely glanced at me before going back to his conversation with Uncle Greg. I could have been the mailwoman for all he cared. Jenna and I stood in the kitchen. She sliced the cake as if she owned the place. "So, you really bought that apartment?" she asked. "I did." "Wow. Without even a loan?" "I'm impressed." She turned to the room. "Can you believe that? Rachel actually did it." Laughter followed. Polite, empty. "Anyway," she said, "Kyle and I are thinking of moving in together." I nodded. "We're kind of in a tight spot financially," she added, placing her hand dramatically over her stomach. I froze. Mom swooped in, her hand resting on Jenna's shoulder. "Rachel, you're living alone in that spacious new place, right?" I already knew where this was going. "Would you consider letting Jenna and Kyle stay with you for a few months? Just until they get on their feet?" My jaw tightened. I looked around the table. No one met my eyes. "That apartment is mine," I said calmly. "I worked for it. I'm not giving it up." Jenna blinked. Her eyes welled up instantly. "I'm about to be a mother," she whispered, voice trembling. Mom gasped like I'd hit someone. "She needs support, Rachel. How can you be so cold?" "Cold?" I said, laughing bitterly. "You mean for choosing not to sacrifice everything, again?" Dad slammed his hand on the table. "You're cruel." I stood still. Then Mom picked up the cake. And before I could react, it was in my face, cream, chocolate, cold. Silence. No one moved. No one said a word. Not even Jenna. Especially not Jenna. And just like that, I realized I was never part of this family. I was just the one who paid for it. I didn't cry when it happened. Not in the car. Not on the way back to my apartment. Not even when I peeled cake frosting off my eyelashes in the bathroom mirror. I just stared at myself. Sticky. Cold. Humiliated. I didn't scream. I didn't text Chloe. I didn't tell anyone. I sat on the floor, still in the same jeans and stained sweater, the room dim except for one desk lamp glowing in the corner. The cake box sat unopened on the table. The irony. All I could hear was Mom's voice, "You're cruel." And Jenna's, "I'm about to be a mother." As if that excused everything. As if I hadn't been mothering myself for years. I picked up my phone. There were already messages waiting. "Mom, I didn't mean to. But you pushed us." "Jenna, I hope you're happy." "Dad, call your mother." I didn't open any of them. Instead, I opened my browser. Top real estate attorneys in Philadelphia. I clicked the first name that looked solid. Evan Ross. 15 years of experience. Specialized in property disputes, especially family cases. Perfect. I didn't call that night. I waited until morning. "Mr. Ross?" I said when he picked up. "I need help regarding property co-owned with my family. The home my grandmother left us, it's being occupied, and I'm not receiving my share." "Do you have documentation?" he asked. "I have the will," I said. "Half for me. Half for Jenna." "And your parents?" "They've taken over the whole place since Grandma passed. I haven't seen a cent." He was quiet for a second. "So what outcome are you looking for?" "I want my half back. Or for them to buy me out." "And if they refuse?" "Then we sell." His voice stayed steady. "All right. I'll draw up a notice. You'll need to review it before it's served." That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed again and again. I silenced it. I wasn't mad anymore. Just, done. A few days later, the notice went out. Registered delivery. Addressed to my parents. Signed and confirmed. I didn't feel proud. Or powerful. I just felt clean. Chloe called. "Ratch, are you okay? I saw your mom's post." I hadn't checked Facebook. I didn't need to. "I'm fine," I said. "You're not a monster," she whispered. "I know. But the truth was, I didn't care if the world thought I was one. Because monsters don't pay their sisters' phone bills. Monsters don't give up vacations and holidays and nights of sleep so someone else can keep coasting. I wasn't cruel. I was exhausted. For the first time in my life, I was choosing myself. And this time I wasn't asking for anyone's permission. 3 days later, Chloe called again. Rachel, have you seen Facebook? I hadn't. I hadn't even opened the app since that night. I was still wiping cake from under my fingernails. You need to look, she said. Now. I opened the app, heart low in my chest. There it was, Mom's post, right at the top. A photo of our old house, her and Jenna standing in front of it, arms around each other. The caption read, "It breaks my heart to say this, but sometimes your own family turns against you. My daughter has decided to kick us out of the only home we've known for 30 years, all for money. She wants to sell it, knowing her sister is pregnant and we have nowhere else to go. I raised her better than this." Comments flooded in. Disgusting. How can a daughter do this to her own mother? That poor pregnant girl. I felt the blood drain from my face. Then came the texts. Natalie, are you proud of yourself? This stress isn't good for the baby. Dad, you're tearing this family apart. They were spinning the story. Not just within the family, but to the world. Making me the villain. I didn't respond. Not to them. Not to anyone. I forwarded the post to Evan. He called within minutes. We'll use this. It helps show pressure and bad faith. I don't want to fight dirty, I said. You're not, he replied. You're fighting back. That night, I blocked all their numbers. Deleted my old Facebook. Changed my email. I didn't post a thing. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I prepared. 1 week later, we served a formal demand: either buy out my half of the house within 30 days, or we force a sale through court. I heard nothing from them. Until the mediation hearing. I walked into the office building in a black blazer and worn boots. No makeup. No emotion. Just purpose. Evan stood waiting with a folder in his hand. Ready? I nodded. We sat across the table from them, Mom, Dad, and Jenna. She was in a pale blue maternity dress. Her eyes red. Her hand resting on her stomach like a shield. No one looked at me. The mediator read the basics. Evan explained our position. Calm, professional. Then came Mom's turn. You really want to evict your own family, she said, barely containing her tears. Over money? I didn't flinch. Either pay me my share, I said softly, or sell the house. That's the will. That's the law. Jenna began sobbing. Kyle, her boyfriend, snapped, You're going to do this to a pregnant woman? Are you serious? I'm serious, I said. And I want it in writing. Dad stood up, red-faced. You are no daughter of mine. I know, I whispered. Evan passed the agreement across the table. They didn't touch it. We left. I didn't cry. Didn't shake. Didn't smile. Just walked out, step by step, into the cold light of a new afternoon. And for the first time in my life, they were the ones left speechless. 2 weeks passed. Then came the email from Evan. They refused the buyout. We're proceeding with the forced sale. I stared at the screen for a long moment. No anger. No victory. Just quiet. Later that evening, Chloe showed up at my door, face pale. You won't believe this, she said. Kyle's job? Gone. He was let go a month ago. And Jenna, she's not pregnant. I blinked. What? She told a mutual friend. It was all fake. The pregnancy, the drama, just to guilt you into giving up your place. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. Everything made sense. The sudden tears. The hand on her stomach. The gaslighting. They were never planning to pay me. They were planning to wear me down. To guilt me into handing over what I earned. But it didn't work. Because I'd finally stopped needing their approval. The next week, the house was officially listed on the market. Photos went up online, faded walls, worn carpets, cluttered rooms. No warmth. Just proof of a house built on entitlement. And then, the comments started again. Only this time, the narrative shifted. People started asking questions. Wait, why is Rachel co-owner? Why does she have a legal claim? Why is her sister living rent-free? The truth has a way of leaking out. It doesn't scream. It drips. Slow. Quiet. Unstoppable. And when it finally soaks through, there's nothing left to hide behind. The house sold in under 30 days. Evan called me to confirm the wire, $168,000 transferred into my account. I stared at the number. Then I closed the screen. Chloe asked me that night, "Do you feel better?" I shook my head. I feel clean. Not vindicated. Not proud. Just done. My parents didn't call. Jenna didn't message. The silence was louder than the screaming. But for once, it wasn't mine to carry. They had chosen who I was in their story. And now, I had chosen to leave the page. I didn't celebrate. No champagne. No shopping spree. Just a quiet morning. I brewed a cup of coffee, opened the windows, and let the sunlight fall across my bare floors. The apartment still felt empty. But it was mine. Every wall, every light switch, every inch of silence. I spent the next few weeks slowly rebuilding the space. Not with noise or guests, but with small things that made me feel safe. A soft gray rug in the living room. A second-hand bookshelf I assembled on a rainy Sunday. A vase of fresh eucalyptus on the windowsill. I painted the bedroom myself, sage green. The kind of color that doesn't beg for attention, but stays with you. In the mornings, I journaled. At night, I stretched out on the floor and listened to music with no words. No voices. No expectations. No guilt. I signed up for a real estate investing course. Not to get rich. But because for the first time in my life, I wanted to build something, for me. Chloe still called. She always asked how I was. Still here, I'd say. Some nights, the quiet got heavy. But it never hurt the way their silence used to. One afternoon, I passed a little boy on the street holding his mother's hand. He looked up at her and said, "You're the best mom ever." It didn't sting. It just made me pause. Some people are lucky enough to be born into love. Others have to grow it themselves, inch by inch, from places that were once cold. That's what this apartment became. Not a fortress. Not a trophy. Just proof that I didn't need permission to be whole. I didn't walk away to prove a point. I walked away because staying meant losing myself. I used to think family was about blood. Now, I believe it's about boundaries. If you've ever been called selfish for protecting your peace, I hope you know, you're not. You're just done explaining. So tell me. Have you ever been made the villain just for saying no? Share your story below. And if mine meant something to you, stay a while. There are more stories waiting, quiet, honest, and free.